Ciao Bella, welcome to Bellauncinettocrafts. I'm Christina and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. No matter how long you've been here, I always appreciate your time. A little something different today. I went on a walking tour of underground Catania, and here we have the Elephant Tower in the town center and some of the poles around it. And we are going to go through some of these places that I went through, and a lot of them are underground. This is one of the St. Agatha churches, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of the things that we saw. This is basically City Hall, and this is another building. I didn't get what it was. It wasn't part of the tour, but while we were waiting, I did get some pictures. And there was this really cool street with umbrellas that we're going to see again later. And so the first thing that we're going into is an underground Roman bath. So it wasn't originally underground, it was originally above ground when the Roman Empire had control of Sicily. And there was a lot of things that the people of Sicily dug up and took out of there as they were rebuilding the city from different situations that have happened over time. But this was very interesting. We could only see a couple of the chambers, but we did get to see where the marble used to be, the different areas where you would go from, regular water to warmer water to a little bit hotter water to steaming hot water. And he pointed out where the saunas had been and all of those things. And there were some frescoes that used to be on the ceilings of Bacchus and wine and grapes and all of those things. So that was really lovely to see. And most of the pieces of marble and things like that are now in other places. And this was underneath the St. Agatha's church that was at the very beginning that you saw. So it was actually the foundation that the church was built on, which is really cool. Now, this next place is in another church, but it is a very much a smaller place. So it is another St. Agatha church. And if you don't know the story of St. Agatha, you can definitely look that up. But this is supposedly where she was buried. So we went into the place where her body had been laid to rest. And this is a depiction of St. Agatha. She is the saint of motherhood. And there is a very unique dessert that is made for her celebration. And that's supposedly her resting place where they found her after she was buried. And this was an altar that was made where people would come to pray while she was in there. They still use the church, and that is amazing. It's very beautiful. There were some frescoes, but of course weather has taken its toll. Very interesting staircase we were not allowed to go on. It's very tiny. So the next place that we're going to see is it's another church, but this one is dedicated to, what we're going to see underground. The building itself, the church itself, is not dedicated to this saint, but this place underground is dedicated to Saint Euplo. And he is not as big as Saint Agatha, but he is a saint from Sicily, and his story is kind of interesting. He was originally taken, like, his story was hidden, and then in decades or centuries later, the story was changed, and he was made to be a bishop. So he was kind of given a promotion and made his story made known after that. So it's very lovely down there, actually. I mean, some of the things that were destroyed in the St. Agatha space were not destroyed here. You could still see lots of columns. My pictures don't really do it justice, but there were lots of things that you could still see there that you couldn't see in the other one. And it was used up until the 1960s, this place down here. So it sits underneath another church. Now, the next place that we're going to see is the Roman amphitheater. Now, we did not get to go in here, and it was not part of the actual tour, but we walked by it, so the tour guide did show it to us. This is the third largest amphitheater. So you have the amphitheater in Rome. There's another one. I can't remember where he said it was. And then you have this one. And during World War II, the Sicilians used this as a shelter. So during all of the bombings, there were, I might get the number wrong, but I think he said it was either 68 or 86 bombs. And on this side of Sicily, it was the British and the Canadians that were bombing Sicily. So the next thing that we're going to see, just as we have a little bit of time, I told you about those umbrellas in the streets, and this was in the fish market. So it was a very interesting thing to look at while you were walking by all of the smells that accompany a fish market. But I just thought this was lovely and colorful and joyful, so I took some pictures as we were on our way to a medieval French castle. Now, this story is going to be a little bit longer, and it might be a little hard to listen to, but the French did have control over Sicily at one point, and there was a volcano that erupted, Mount Etna, of course, still active, and it covered in most of the front of the island, and what we were walking on used to be ocean. But there was a fountain, a young girl named Gamitza. She was a Sicilian, and she would go to this fountain every day, and the French soldier, one of the French soldiers, attacked her, and oh, I don't know what's happening there. Hold on. Don't know what's happening here. My picture's going a little wonky here. Okay, there we go. I don't know, I'll have to fix that. But one of the French soldiers attacked her and killed her. And the Sicilians had their only revolution that they ever had. It started out with her boyfriend as a private revenge, and then the rest of the country joined in and overthrew the French. But there are lots of underground places that have water, which make Sicily a very unique place to be, because you have a lot of, there's these underground fountains all over the place. And so the fountain of Gamitza that we saw, and then the next piece that we're going to see, as well as the Roman baths, right? Oh, that robot was so cute. There were all kinds of unique things in the streets that we saw. I wanted to take pictures of. This is another Roman bath that we passed. We did not go in. But just like the other places, there's all of this water that runs under Sicily. And I cannot remember the name of it. I wish I could, but I cannot remember the name of it. Um, but they are, it's everywhere. There are fountains and places where you can go up in the mountains and just get water. And this bar we actually walked into and walked underground. And they have tables set up by this water. And this is part of the underground water system. It was very beautiful and mesmerizing. And I am just so thrilled that we got to do this. There was also some really cool art on the streets that you'll see in a minute. And I appreciate you coming with me on the little bit of the walking tour that I am showing you. It was over 3 hours long. So this little bit is not as much as we saw before. But I appreciate you. Ciao bella.